finally happened. The United States has bombed Iran. But is Iran really our biggest worry? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Early Saturday morning, the U.S. military launched Operation Midnight Hammer, targeting 3 nuclear installations inside Iran. By 2:10 a.m. local Iranian time on Sunday, those installations at Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordow were attacked by the U.S. Isfahan was hit by cruise missiles that were most likely fired from the submarine USS Georgia. Meanwhile, 7 American B-2 bombers flew into Iranian airspace, dropping a payload of 30,000-pound massive ordnance bunker busters on the 2 remaining sites. Reportedly, Natanz was hit by 2 of these bombs, while the heavily fortified Fordow site received a whopping 12 bunker busters. Obviously, these images aren't very cool to look at since the Fordow site was located under a mountain, and these munitions are designed to burrow hundreds of feet before exploding. Though the holes might set off some people's trypophobia, you're welcome. Following the operation, a senior Israeli official told the Washington Post that the Isfahan facility was annihilated and that Fordow and Natanz were severely damaged. So what was the reasoning behind this attack? Was Iran really that close to building a nuke? Or was this just a psyop by Israel's Mossad to draw us into their war? This may be a good time to remind you that I am not depressed, have no thoughts of self-harm, and I'm an excellent swimmer. But in all seriousness, whether or not Iran was close to getting the bomb, the regime did give the world a lot of good reasons to worry. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had this to say.
Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No. They're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but that's a question.
And these facts do line up. Civilian reactors typically only require uranium to be enriched between 3 and 5%. But in May of this year, the International Atomic Energy Agency published this report, stating that Iran had, in fact, enriched uranium up to 60%, far beyond what's needed for peaceful use. It's worth remembering that Iran decided to remove all of the agency's monitoring equipment in 2022. And if that wasn't suspicious enough, shortly after Israel began its own bombing, Iran's state news agency released this somewhat suggestive video of an Iranian soldier gently stroking his missile. Am I supposed to be scared or turned on? Or both? This is the weirdest, most sexually charged Twitter crash out since Kanye. Whatever happened to you, Khamenei? You were the type of guy who thought planting a tree was a revolutionary act. You called women flowers and spoke out against violence. Why, I remember back when you had to wear a cloak to school, but made up for it by being playful and a little bit naughty. Man, I miss the old Khamenei, straight from the go Khamenei, chop up the soul Khamenei, set up his goals Khamenei. I hate the new Khamenei, the bad mood Khamenei, the always rude Khamenei, spaz in the news Khamenei. However, one prominent individual thinks this is all just make-believe kayfabe. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi, the same person who released that damning report we mentioned earlier. The director claimed a day before the operation that although Iran could build a bomb, they have no plans of doing so. And he said that we do not have at this point any tangible proof that there is a program or a plan to fabricate, to manufacture a nuclear weapon. So what's the deal? Why build all those facilities? Why enrich all that uranium? And why force everyone to watch you stroke your missile on the timeline? Why not do it in the privacy of your own fortified bunker like everyone else? Well, you could chalk it up to something called strategic ambiguity. The idea is that by stopping just short of creating a bomb, Iran could avoid the stigma and costs of becoming a rogue pariah state like North Korea. But at the same time, they get to tell other countries, if you mess with us, we can get a nuke like that and make your life hell. Granted, the moment you say that, Israel will probably just nuke you. But hey, that's just a theory, a war games theory. Bomb or no bomb, a lot of the problems America has with Iran's nuclear program have nothing to do with Iran, at least not entirely. You see, Iran getting a nuke, or even coming close to getting one, could set off a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Probably the last place you'd want that to happen. Saudi Arabia's leader, Mohammed bin Salman, swore that if Iran gets a bomb, then Saudi Arabia is getting one too. Think about that. Saudi Arabia, a country whose state religion is an extreme, puritanical, and militant strain of Islam. A country that's home to countless wealthy elites, religious institutes, and private charities whose business is funding international terrorism. Now, I don't mean to downplay Iran's terrorist proxies. They have caused plenty of damage to the region. But Saudi Arabia's wealth and global reach puts their terrorist network on a whole nother level. According to a leaked cable from the U.S. Secretary of State, donors in Saudi Arabia constitute the most significant source of funding to Sunni terrorist groups worldwide. Over the years, Saudi-linked extremists have been found everywhere, including Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Yemen, Somalia, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. European countries like France, Germany, the UK, Bosnia, and Russian-controlled Chechnya. Asia is no different, with networks receiving funding in India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Oh, and let's not forget the United States. 15 of the 19 9/11 hijackers were Saudi nationals. As recently as 2022, there has been increasing suspicion that they received logistical support from an alleged Saudi spy in the U.S. I mean, Osama bin Laden himself was the son of a powerful construction magnate with deep ties to the Saudi royal family. So even if Saudi Arabia's government doesn't officially support terrorism, it's pretty obvious that they don't have a good handle on what a lot of their citizens are doing. Ultimately, that's a country, along with many others, that you'd never want having any sort of nuclear program, civilian or military. A nuclear exchange between Iran and Saudi Arabia, perhaps involving some non-state actors, that would be catastrophic. The damage to the environment and the world economy would be like nothing we've ever seen. And if some billionaire oil sheikh's idiot nephew can scrape together enough nuclear material for a suitcase-sized dirty bomb and drop it in the middle of Times Square, well, now that's really our problem. We could be waiting a long time until the region calms down enough that anyone can really be trusted to go nuclear. After both Israel and Iran violated yesterday's ceasefire, Trump threw up his hands and said this.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
What do you think? Was the bombing a good idea? Leave your comments below. And before you go, be sure to check out this other episode of America Uncovered, recommended by the algorithm. And you can support America Uncovered's nonpartisan take on news by contributing on Patreon. All it takes is as little as $1 an episode. Just click this orange button. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.